Mrs. Roberts and I work for the Wolverhampton Music Service, and today's Oboe lesson is going to be talking about and hearing examples of phrasing. Phrasing is very, very important to all music. It's basically like speaking in sentences, when you can hear the voice go up and down and up and down, and depending where it is in the sentence. And that is the same with music. You're basically using this oboe, this sound of music, as a voice, as a sentence, speaking to people. It's important to start and finish your sentence really carefully. And in music, the finer musicians are the ones that take time to finish a phrase as well as start it. We're going to play it again on one note to show you how to control the note to make it as you are speaking and then finish your phrase, even though we're using one note. Here it goes. To start a note, it's really hard. We call it speaking. The note speaks. And if you crack a note, it means that you haven't cleanly hit the first note. If I choose a lower note, they are notoriously harder to play cleanly to start with. So you blow the note. Did you hear me squeak it? Crack it? That's cracking the note. That was much better. I had to blow and tongue at the same time without pinching the reed too hard to make it squeak. But the most important thing in here is to prepare for the note before you play it. So I'm going to try that note again, see if I can hit it first time. And then I faded it away as well, because I was thinking about the end. Practice that a lot. It's really difficult to do. As well with the high notes, you have to pitch it, prepare it, act like you're blowing it, and then release it. Practicing in leaps is quite a good way to make sure that you can control those notes as you hit them. Here we go. Here we can see if I can manage this one. We've discussed the beginning of the note, and now I want to demonstrate the end of the note. Is as important to the end of the note, how you finish your phrase. We're going to choose another note. I think I'm going to choose C this time. I quite like that one for the minute. Here it is. I'm going to start the note. You can hear me build it up because, of course, you wouldn't flatline a note. You'd build it with a little bit of something to listen to, a musical note, basically. Listen to the end. Hear how I started the note carefully, built it a little, and then controlled it right to the very end, and stopped the note with my tongue or the breathing. You've probably heard singers do this. They sing a note, a really straight held note, and then vibrato at the end. A lot of the big singers do this type of thing. On the oboe, I think I do a little bit of this as well. Listen to it, how I can play it without vibrato. We call it vibrato when the note does a little bit of oscillating. So I'm going to hold it straight and see if you can hear when I start using vibrato. You can do this, don't force it, but it'll come when you listen to the note, warm the note. Support the whole time. It's all about this support. Big, big breath, and then see how much you can release it very carefully and controlled. Hear how straight it was at the beginning? And then the vibrato at the end. That's what you're going to have to practice. Practice with long notes. Mainly the oboe is playing on long notes. That's how you can create an awful lot of technique by just listening to what the sound that you're making. I'm going to show a few examples now of how to start a phrase and end a phrase. You've got to decide about how your music is set out in sentences. That's crucial. Where you take a breath, and for oboists, where you take an exhale and then an inhale, because we are basically using so little air that you tend to collapse from lack of oxygen rather than using too much air. Here we go. You can hear from the start, just those three notes, every one of those notes has got a different dynamic. I build the whole time to the middle of the phrase and then down at the end, and then start the next phrase and build up and down. So it's a little bit like the C, you know, rocking away like that. Obviously not that steep, but depending on what you're playing. Okay, so I'll just play it again to listen to this again. The 3 notes at the beginning. That end of note, really, really control the end. Ba-da, always louder than soft, and hold that note at the end to its full length and fade away. The second movement of this piece by Louis, Sonata in C, and it still has phrasing issues, but you've got all the different articulations as well. You've got accents, you've got staccatos, you've got slurs, you've got everything to mix in the mix, but you've also got to remember where the phrase starts and where it ends. Later on in this piece of this movement, there's a little bit of a dialogue between the high notes and the low notes, and you have to sort of try and work on discussion. Can you hear it? Here's one last example of the beautiful line that the oboe can make with the phrasing. This is one of my favourite pieces of music. This is the Marcello Oboe Concerto, the second movement, the slow movement. And you'll see that it's counted in 6 quavers, it's so slow, and it builds this lovely, beautiful phrase. Can you hear the lovely undulating lines? So that's my final little bit of playing for your Marcello Oboe Concerto. Try it out, it's lovely, it's a beautiful piece, although it does need the iron lungs. Okay, so that's phrasing for now. Have fun practicing and make sure you make your sentences make sense to you.